Amara stood frozen in the doorway, flowers trembling in her hands, staring at the man who represented everything safe, stable, and suffocating. David stepped closer, his expression carefully crafted, solemn, apologetic, the perfect picture of regret. "Hello, Amara," he said again, his voice soft, gentle, the tone he used to use when he wanted something. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to see right now." "Oh, then why are you here?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "And how did you find this place?" "I have my ways." He gestured at the flowers still in her hands. "Did you read the card?" She hadn't. Slowly, she pulled the small envelope from between the orchids, her hands shaking slightly as she opened it. "Amara, I made a mistake. Sun-hee was a mistake. Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life. We need to talk. About us. About what my family did for yours. About what you owe. Please. Give me a chance to explain." "David." The words blurred as tears threatened. "What you owe." There it was, the hook her mother had already embedded deep. "You shouldn't be here," Amara said, crumpling the card. "This isn't... David, you need to leave. Now." "I can't do that." He took another step forward, close enough now that she could smell his cologne, the same one he'd worn for 3 years. Familiar. Safe. "Not until you hear me out." "There's nothing to hear." Sun-hee was a mistake. The words burst out of him, desperate. "Amara, please. It was one night, one stupid, drunken night after a conference. I was weak. I was confused about us, and she—" He stopped, ran his hands through his hair. "She seduced me. I know how that sounds. I know it's the oldest excuse in the book. But it's the truth." Amara stared at him. "You're blaming her? For you cheating?" "I'm not blaming anyone. I'm explaining." David's voice cracked. "It happened once. Just once. And then a month later she told me she was pregnant. Said it was mine. I felt like I had to do the right thing. Take responsibility. Marry her. So you proposed." Amara's voice was flat. "You threw away 3 years with me because of one night with her." "I thought I had to. I thought—" He stepped closer, reaching for her hands. She pulled back. "But Amara, I'm not even sure it's mine anymore." "What?" "The baby. I don't think it's mine." David's expression was pained. "Sun-hee, she's been seeing our boss, Dr. Choi. I've seen the messages, the late-night calls. She's been sleeping with him the whole time." Amara felt something twist in her stomach. Not jealousy, not hurt, disgust. "So, let me get this straight," she said slowly. "You cheated on me with Sun-hee, got her pregnant, maybe, broke our engagement to take responsibility. And now you're back because you think the baby might not be yours and you've decided I'm the better option?" "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, David?" Her voice rose. "Because it sounds very much like you're treating me as your backup plan, your consolation prize when Sun-hee didn't work out the way you wanted." "No, Amara, you're not a backup. You're the one I love. You've always been the one I love." He reached for her again. "Sun-hee was a mistake from start to finish. Being with her made me realize what I threw away, what I lost. You're the one I want, the one I've always wanted." "Oh, Amara looked at him, really looked at him, and something clicked into place. This was what her mother called stability. This man who cheated on her while they were engaged, who blamed the woman he slept with for seducing him, who broke their engagement for a pregnancy that might not even be his, who was now standing in front of her, talking about love while admitting he wasn't sure if his fiancé's baby was actually his because she was also sleeping with their boss. This was the safe choice. This was the normal life she was supposed to want. And suddenly, the absurdity of it hit her. She'd spent the past hour comparing Ji-hoon to David, wondering if she was choosing danger over stability, questioning if passion was worth the risk. But what stability? Ji-hoon would never do this to her, would never blame someone else for his choices, had never treated her as a backup plan or consolation prize. Ji-hoon was dangerous, yes, but he was honest, loyal, absolutely devoted. David was safe in the way a house with a cracked foundation was safe. It looked fine until the first strong wind came along. "Amara?" David's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Please, say something. Tell me there's a chance. Tell me we can fix this. Fix what, David? Her voice was surprisingly calm. You don't love me. You love the idea of me, the version that waits patiently while you figure out your life, the version that forgives cheating because you were seduced, the version that takes you back because apparently I'm supposed to be grateful you're choosing me over your maybe-pregnant fiancé. That's not... It is. Amara stepped back. And you know what the funny part is? I almost fell for it. I almost convinced myself that what you're offering, this safe, stable, normal life, was better than what I have now. But you're not offering stability, David. You're offering chaos dressed up as respectability. David's expression shifted. The apologetic mask slipped slightly. Amara, you need to think about this carefully. I have thought about it, and my answer is no. No to you, no to us, no to whatever this desperate attempt to win me back is supposed to be. She gestured toward the door. Now please leave before... Before what? The last traces of gentleness vanished from David's voice. His expression went cold, hard. Before your crime lord boyfriend shows up? Before you run back to that dangerous life you've been playing at? Amara's spine straightened. Excuse me? You heard me. David's smile was bitter, sharp. You think you're so much better now? So much braver? You're not brave, Amara. You're reckless. You've traded a real future for some fantasy where the dangerous man actually loves you instead of just using you. Get out. I will. But first, let me remind you of something. He pulled out his phone, showed her a document. $847,000. That's how much my family paid for your father's treatment. The experimental therapies, the medications, the private room, all of it. Amara's breath caught. Your mother didn't tell you the full amount, did she? David's voice had turned cold, clinical, the warmth from moments before completely gone. She was trying to protect you. But you deserve to know the truth, Amara. My parents saved your family from bankruptcy, from losing everything, and in return, I was supposed to marry you. The words tasted like ash. I was payment for my father's life. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, David? Anger flared hot in her chest, burning away the tears. Explain to me how a financial transaction between our parents isn't exactly that. David had the grace to look uncomfortable. It was an agreement between families, traditional, respectful. My parents helped yours in a time of need, and your mother promised that we would honor the relationship. That's not buying you, Amara. Sounds like buying to me. Both of them froze. Amara's heart stopped. Ji-hoon stood at the end of the hallway, still in his suit from earlier, but with his jacket gone and sleeves rolled up. He looked casual, relaxed, except for the gun held loosely in his right hand, pointed directly at David's head. Ji-hoon, Amara started. How did you get past my security? Ji-hoon's voice was pleasant, conversational, absolutely terrifying in its calmness. I'm genuinely curious, because the men I have guarding this estate are very good at their jobs, which means either you're extremely clever or someone let you in. David had gone pale. I just wanted to talk, to my woman, in my house, without my permission. Ji-hoon walked forward with that same predatory grace Amara recognized from the bar. That's breathtakingly stupid or impressively suicidal. I haven't decided which yet. Your woman? David's voice cracked slightly. Amara isn't property? No, she's not. Ji-hoon's eyes never left David, but Amara felt the weight of his attention anyway. She's a brilliant, magnificent woman who makes her own choices, but she chose to come here. With me. To my home. Which makes you, he gestured with the gun, an uninvited guest at best, a threat at worst. I'm not a threat. You're holding $800,000 over her head like a leash. The pleasant tone had vanished, replaced by something cold, deadly. That sounds like a threat to me. Amara found her voice. Ji-hoon, put the gun down. No. Please. Amara. His eyes finally met hers, and the intensity in them made her breath catch. This man came into my home, past my security, with flowers and manipulation and a contract he's planning to use to drag you back into a life that made you miserable. I'm being remarkably restrained by only pointing a gun at him. You can't just shoot everyone who— Can't I? His smile was sharp. Dangerous. I'm a crime lord, sweetheart. Shooting people who threaten what's mine is literally in the job description. David made a strangled sound. Listen, I don't want trouble. Then you shouldn't have come here. Ji-hoon's attention swung back to him. You have 30 seconds to explain why I shouldn't put a bullet in your head and dump your body in the Han River. Make it convincing. The casual way he said it, like he was discussing dinner plans instead of murder, made Amara's stomach turn. Ji-hoon, stop. 25 seconds. David's hands shot up in surrender. The debt is real. My family has documentation, legal contracts. Amara's mother signed an agreement promising marriage in exchange for covering the medical costs. If Amara doesn't honor it, my parents will sue for the full amount plus interest and penalties. Over $1 million. Fascinating. Ji-hoon tilted his head. And you think that matters to me because Amara's family can't pay it? They'll lose everything. Their house, their savings, everything. Her mother will be destroyed. Her brother's medical school fund will be gone. David's voice gained confidence, like he was presenting a winning argument. I'm offering a solution. Amara comes back to me, we honor the agreement, and everyone walks away whole. Everyone except Amara, you mean? Ji-hoon's voice was silk over steel. Who gets to spend her life paying off a debt she didn't agree to with a man she doesn't love? That's your grand solution? It's reality. I'm offering stability, safety, a normal life. Boring, Ji-hoon interrupted. Also manipulative, coercive, and frankly insulting. 10 seconds. Wait! David's composure cracked. You can't just— She has to understand. This isn't about love. It's about responsibility. Amara, please, be reasonable. You owe my family. The gun cocked. The sound echoed through the room like thunder. Time's up, Ji-hoon said pleasantly. And you just made a critical error. What error? David's voice shook. You told the woman I'm obsessed with that she owes you. Ji-hoon's smile was absolutely terrifying. Nobody tells Amara she owes them anything, especially not mediocre doctors who cheated on her and are now trying to guilt her into coming back. He lowered the gun slightly, but his eyes stayed locked on David. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me the name of your family's bank, their account number, and the exact amount of this supposed debt. Why? Because I'm going to pay it, right now, all of it, with interest. Ji-hoon pulled out his phone with his free hand, fingers moving with practiced ease. What bank? You can't just— Shinhan, Woori, KB. Pick one before I lose my patience and shoot you anyway. David stammered. Shinhan, but you can't— The amount is over 800,000. 847,000, you said. Plus interest and penalties brings it to what? 1 million? 1.2? Ji-hoon didn't even blink. Consider it done. He typed something into his phone, waited. 30 seconds later, David's phone buzzed. Then again, and again. David pulled it out with shaking hands, his face going white as he read the notifications. That's confirmation from your family's bank, Ji-hoon said conversationally. $1.3 million, transferred in full. The Okonkwo family debt to the Kim family is now cleared, with generous interest for the inconvenience. Amara's knees went weak. Ji-hoon, you can't— That's done. It's done. His eyes found hers, and something in them made her heart stutter. The debt is paid. You owe them nothing. I can't let you— You didn't let me do anything. I chose to do it. He turned back to David, and his expression went cold again. Which brings us to you. The debt is cleared. The contract is void. You have no legal claim, no financial leverage, no reason to be here. David stared at his phone like he couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. You paid— Yes. And now you're going to leave. You're going to get in whatever car you came in, drive back to whatever hole you crawled out of, and never contact Amara again. Clear? This doesn't change anything. David's voice rose, desperate. Amara, listen to me. This man is dangerous. He's a criminal. He might throw money around now, but what kind of future can you have with him? What kind of life? A better one than she'd have with you, Ji-hoon said flatly. He'll get you killed. His enemies are already targeting you. Because of me. Yes, I'm aware. Ji-hoon's voice was sharp. Which is why I have armed guards, multiple safe houses, and resources you can't even imagine. What do you have, David? A medical degree and a fragile ego? I have stability. You have mediocrity. Ji-hoon stepped closer, and despite David being roughly the same height, he seemed to shrink. You had a woman who was brilliant, loyal, and too good for you, and you threw her away for someone who fit your idea of what you should want, instead of appreciating what you had. He gestured with the gun toward the door. Leave, now, before I change my mind about not shooting you. David looked at Amara, desperation clear in his eyes. Amara, please, be smart about this. He's not... You can't. I believe the man with the gun told you to leave, Amara heard herself say. Her voice was steadier than she felt. You should listen. Something died in David's expression. Resignation, defeat. You're making a mistake, he said quietly. When this all falls apart, and it will, don't come crying to me. I won't, Amara said. I promise you that. David turned and walked toward the entrance, his footsteps echoing in the silence. The moment the door closed behind him, Amara's legs gave out. Ji-hoon was there instantly, gun disappearing somewhere as his arms caught her. He guided her to the couch, his hands gentle despite the violence that had been radiating from him seconds before. Breathe, he murmured. Just breathe. You paid... Amara couldn't finish the sentence. That was... Ji-hoon, that was over $1 million. That was pocket change compared to what you're worth. His hands framed her face, forcing her to look at him. And before you spiral into guilt or obligation or whatever your brilliant mind is trying to manufacture, I didn't do it for gratitude. I did it because nobody gets to hold anything over your head. Not money, not contracts, not anything. I can't. I don't know how I'd ever pay you back. Don't. His voice was firm. Don't you dare try to turn what I chose to do into another debt. The money means nothing to me, Amara. You mean everything. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You don't know me well enough to... 6 months, he interrupted. I've spent 6 months learning everything about you. 6 months wanting you. 6 months waiting for the right moment. And now that I have you, now that I've kissed you and held you and know what it's like to have you look at me like I matter... His thumbs brushed away her tears. I would burn through my entire fortune before I let anyone drag you away from me. That's insane. Yes, he agreed easily. Completely insane. Obsessive. Probably unhealthy by normal standards. His smile was self-deprecating. But I stopped pretending to be normal the day I saw you, Amara. I'm a crime lord who's obsessed with a woman who threw a drink in my face during a gunfight. Normal left the building a long time ago. Despite everything, Amara laughed. It came out watery, broken, but real. There she is, Ji-hoon murmured, his eyes soft. There's my girl. My girl. The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it made something warm bloom in her chest. I can't believe you just paid off my family's debt like it was nothing, she whispered. It was nothing. His voice was absolutely serious. You want to know what something would be? Watching you walk away because you felt obligated to that mediocre excuse for a man. That would have been something. That would have cost me everything that actually matters. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. Then again, Ji-hoon's expression changed, shifted from soft to sharp in an instant. He pulled out his phone, and Amara watched his jaw tighten as he read. What is it? We have a problem. He stood, already moving toward the door. Stay here. Don't move. Don't open the door for anyone except me. Ji-hoon, what's wrong? He turned back, and the look in his eyes made her blood run cold. The Parks didn't have your brother, he said quietly. My men in Atlanta just confirmed. Marcus is safe. Has been the whole time. He was never in danger. Relief flooded through her. Then why? Because someone wanted me to think he was. Someone fed my organization false information. His voice was deadly calm. Which means I have a mole. Someone inside my own network has been working against me. The implications crashed over Amara like ice water. But if they lied about Marcus, then everything else could be a lie too. Ji-hoon's hand went to his weapon. The Parks, the Chuas, all of it could be misdirection. For what? Before he could answer, an explosion shook the entire building. The windows shattered inward, spraying glass across the room. Amara screamed as Ji-hoon threw himself over her, his body shielding hers as debris rained down around them. Gunfire erupted outside, rapid, professional, deadly. Stay down, Ji-hoon ordered, already pulling out his gun. He grabbed his phone, barking orders in rapid Korean. Deploy everyone! Protect her! Now! If you're still here, it means you felt that. The danger, the betrayal, the kind of love that doesn't run when the world burns, but stands in front of the blast and takes it head on. This isn't your usual fairy tale. This is obsession, loyalty, the kind of romance that costs blood, bullets, and impossible choices. If stories where women are chosen, protected, and fought for, without apology, pull something out of you, if you want romance that doesn't beg, doesn't settle, and doesn't pretend love is safe, then subscribe to Afro-Korean romance stories. Leave a like and comment below. Because this story ends tonight. But this world, this intensity, this kind of love, this is what we do here. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights went out, plunging them into darkness broken only by muzzle flashes from outside. Ji-hoon hauled Amara to her feet, his grip bruising in its intensity. We need to move, now. What's happening? She asked. This was never about the Parks. His voice was harsh with realization and fury. This was about getting you here. Isolated, vulnerable. They made it 3 steps before the door burst open. Armed men flooded in, not wearing Park family colors, not wearing anything Amara recognized. Ji-hoon shoved her behind him, his gun already firing. 3 men went down before they could return fire, but there were too many, too fast. One of them lunged, and Ji-hoon met him with brutal efficiency, elbow to the throat, gun to the temple, down. But while he was occupied, another grabbed Amara. She screamed, fighting, remembering every self-defense move she'd ever learned. Her elbow connected with something soft, a grunt of pain. But then there were hands on her arms, her hair, dragging her backward. Ji-hoon roared, actually roared, and Amara had never heard a more terrifying sound. He moved like death itself, taking down man after man with lethal precision. But for every one he dropped, 2 more appeared. Ji-hoon! Amara screamed as they dragged her toward the shattered window. Their eyes met across the chaos. And in that split second, Amara saw something that broke her heart. Fear. Raw, desperate, absolute fear. Not for himself, for her. Amara! His voice cracked as he fought through the men between them. She reached for him, and then someone hit her from behind. The world went dark. Amara woke to the smell of salt water and industrial oil. Her head throbbed. Her wrists were bound behind her back with zip ties that cut into her skin. She was sitting in a metal chair in a building with high ceilings, rusted beams, the distant sound of water lapping against a dock. Pier 7, she thought distantly. They'd brought her to Pier 7. Ah, you're awake. The voice was cultured, elegant, terrifying in its calmness. An older man stepped into her field of vision, 50s, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, silver hair styled with precision. He held himself with the bearing of someone who'd never had to raise his voice to be obeyed. My name is Choi Dae-jung, he said pleasantly. And you, Ms. Okonkwo, have become quite the complication. Amara's mouth was dry. Where's Ji-hoon? Ah, yes. Your knight in designer armor. Choi smiled. Currently tearing through half of Seoul trying to find you, I imagine. He's quite predictable when emotional. It's one of his few weaknesses. If you hurt him, you'll what exactly? Choi tilted his head. You're tied to a chair in my warehouse, surrounded by my men, with no idea where you are. Your threats are adorable, but ultimately meaningless. He pulled up another chair, sitting across from her with casual ease. Let me explain your situation, Ms. Okonkwo. You are leverage. Nothing more, nothing less. Kang Ji-hoon has something I want: territory, connections, resources, and he's proven remarkably resistant to more traditional forms of negotiation. So you took me. So I took you, Choi agreed pleasantly. And now he'll come for you. Reckless, emotional, compromised. And when he does, I'll have the opening I need to end the Kang family's reign once and for all. Amara's blood ran cold. You're going to kill him. I'm going to destroy him. Choi's smile widened. His organization. His legacy. Everything his grandfather built. And he'll watch it burn while trying to save you. He won't fall for this. He already has. Choi gestured, and one of his men brought over a laptop. He turned the screen toward Amara. It showed surveillance footage, multiple angles of Ji-hoon moving through the city. Frantic, armed, leaving a trail of bodies as he tore through rival gang hideouts, demanding information about her location. He's killed 40 men in the last 2 hours, Choi said conversationally. Started a war with 3 families, burned through alliances that took years to build. All for you. Amara watched the screen, her heart breaking. Ji-hoon looked feral, covered in blood, his suit torn, his eyes wild with desperation. He's making mistakes, Choi continued. Tactical errors, exposing weaknesses, all because he's too consumed with getting you back to think clearly. He closed the laptop. You've made him vulnerable, Ms. Okonkwo, and vulnerability is death in our world. Then let me go. Send me back to America. I'll disappear. Too late for that. Choi's expression hardened. The moment Kang Ji-hoon decided you were worth fighting for, you became a piece on the board. You don't get to leave the game now. What do you want? I want you to make a choice. Choi leaned forward. In approximately, he checked his watch, 30 minutes, Ji-hoon will receive your location. He'll come for you. And when he does, I'll be ready. My men will kill him, kill his key lieutenants, and absorb what's left of his organization. Amara's hands clenched into fists behind her back. Unless you convince him not to come. Choi's smile was cold. I'll give you one phone call. You tell him you're leaving Korea, that you've realized he's too dangerous, too volatile, that your family comes first. You tell him you're going back to America and he should let you go. He'll never believe. He'll believe it if you sell it well enough. Choi's eyes were hard. You're a smart woman, Ms. Okonkwo. I'm sure you can be convincing. Tell him you don't love him. Tell him last night was a mistake. Tell him whatever you need to tell him to make him stand down. And if I do, you'll let me go? I'll put you on a plane to Atlanta tonight. First class. Your brother, your mother. I'll make sure they're comfortable, protected. You'll never hear from any of us again. Choi stood. All you have to do is break his heart before he gets himself killed trying to save you. Amara's mind raced. And if I refuse? Then you sit here and watch while I kill the man who just paid over $1 million to free you from a debt you never asked for. The man who's currently burning down half the city trying to get to you. The man who in his desperation to save you will walk right into my trap and die. Choi's voice was matter-of-fact. Your choice, Ms. Okonkwo. Save yourself and let him live, or doom you both with misguided heroics. One of his men brought over a phone. Choi held it out. You have 2 minutes to decide. Use them wisely. Amara stared at the phone in Choi's hand, her mind spinning through possibilities. If she called Ji-hoon, told him she was leaving, maybe he'd live. Maybe Choi would actually let her go. Maybe this nightmare would end with both of them alive, even if apart, but she'd watched the surveillance footage. Seen the bodies Ji-hoon had left in his wake, the desperation in his movements. He wouldn't stop. Not for her words, not for reason. He'd already proven he'd burn the world to get to her. Time's up, Choi said. Call him or I will, and my version of the conversation will be much shorter and significantly more final. Amara took the phone with shaking hands, dialed the number she'd memorized from seeing it flash across Ji-hoon's screen. It rang once. Amara. Ji-hoon's voice was raw, desperate. Baby, where are you? Are you hurt? Talk to me. The sound of his voice, broken, terrified, nearly destroyed her resolve. Ji-hoon, listen to me. I'm coming for you. I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill every single person who touched you. Stop. Her voice cracked. Just stop. Please. Silence on the other end. She could hear his breathing, harsh, ragged. What did they do to you? His voice dropped to something deadly. Did they hurt you? Amara, if they hurt you, I swear to God. They didn't hurt me. The lie tasted like ash. But you need to listen. Really listen. I'm listening. Choi was watching her with cold calculation. Waiting. Amara closed her eyes, made her choice. I can't do this, she said softly. Any of this. Your world, this danger, the violence. I can't. I'm not strong enough. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. She forced steel into her voice even as tears streamed down her face. I'm a supply chain consultant from Atlanta, Ji-hoon. I'm not built for gunfights and kidnappings and watching you kill people. This isn't who I am. Amara, don't do this. My mother was right. The words felt like swallowing glass. You're dangerous. This, us, it's a fantasy, a beautiful, impossible fantasy. But I have a real life, a family that needs me, a brother in medical school, a mother who's already lost enough. I can protect them. I can protect all of you. For how long? Her voice rose, desperation bleeding through. How long before another family targets them to get to you? How long before my brother gets caught in crossfire? How long before my mother has to bury another person she loves? Silence. Heavy. Crushing. You don't mean this, Ji-hoon finally said, and his voice was so broken it nearly shattered her. Last night, what we shared, was a mistake. She forced the words out. A beautiful mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. Amara, I'm going home, Ji-hoon. Back to Atlanta, back to normal, and you need to let me go. Where are you? His voice had changed, gone cold, focused. Tell me where you are right now. Choi held up a warning finger. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Tell me where you are, baby. Please, just tell me. I can't. Tears choked her voice. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but this is goodbye. Don't you fucking dare. She ended the call. The phone clattered from her shaking hands. Choi smiled. Well done. That was almost convincing. I did what you asked. Amara's voice was hollow. Let me go. Of course. Choi gestured to one of his men. Take her to the car. Airport. Make sure she gets on that plane. Relief and agony warred in Amara's chest as they cut her bonds. She stood on shaking legs, letting them guide her toward a door at the far end of the warehouse. Behind her, she heard Choi on his phone. Stand down the perimeter guards. Pull everyone back. The Kang heir bought the story. He won't be coming. Amara's steps faltered. Wait. Pull everyone back? He won't be coming? If Choi thought Ji-hoon believed her, why would he need to pull guards? Unless... Understanding hit her like lightning. Choi never intended to let her go. This wasn't about preventing Ji-hoon from coming. It was about making him desperate enough to come anyway, making him reckless. The call was bait, and she'd just delivered it perfectly. Wait. Amara started to turn. The explosion that ripped through the warehouse's east wall cut off her words. Concrete and steel rained down as a black SUV crashed through the opening, tires screaming. It spun in a perfect tactical maneuver, and then the doors flew open. Ji-hoon emerged like an avenging angel. He wore tactical gear instead of his suit, blood spattered across his face, and carried enough weapons to start a small war. His eyes found Amara across the warehouse, and the relief in them was quickly consumed by rage. Get down! He roared. Amara dropped as gunfire erupted. Ji-hoon moved like death itself, precise, brutal, absolutely unstoppable. His men poured in behind him, engaging Choi's forces with military precision. But there were too many. Even as Ji-hoon's team took down man after man, more appeared from hidden positions throughout the warehouse. This was the trap, and Ji-hoon had walked right into it. Ji-hoon! Amara screamed as 3 men converged on him. He spun, taking down 2 with headshots, but the third got close enough for hand-to-hand. They grappled, and Amara watched in horror as Ji-hoon took a knife to the shoulder. He didn't even slow down. Grabbed the man's arm, twisted until something snapped, then used the man's own momentum to throw him into two others. But the injury was slowing him. Blood soaked through his tactical vest. "Fall back!" one of Ji-hoon's men shouted. "Sir, we're outnumbered!" "Not without her!" Ji-hoon's eyes never left Amara. "I'm not leaving without her!" Choi's voice rang out over the chaos. "Kang, you're surrounded! Stand down or watch her die!" Ji-hoon's gaze snapped to where two of Choi's men had grabbed Amara, one pressing a gun to her temple. He froze. Absolutely froze. "There we go," Choi said pleasantly, emerging from cover. "Let's all be reasonable. Lower your weapons, Kang, or I'll paint the walls with her brain matter." Ji-hoon's hands tightened on his gun. His eyes met Amara's across the warehouse. She'd never seen him look so helpless, so utterly, completely broken. "Don't," she said softly. "Ji-hoon, don't." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better. I should have. You came for me." Tears streamed down her face. "You came. That's enough. It's not." "Lower your weapons," Choi ordered. "Now, or she dies." Ji-hoon's jaw clenched. Then, slowly, he lowered his gun. His men looked at him in shock. "Sir, do it," Ji-hoon said quietly. "Lower your weapons." They did. Choi smiled. "Excellent. Now, let's discuss terms." The gunshot came from nowhere. The man holding the gun to Amara's head jerked and fell, a red bloom spreading across his chest. Then another shot. The second man went down. Chaos erupted again as Ji-hoon's men opened fire, but not from the positions they'd been in, from new angles, hidden positions. This had been Ji-hoon's plan all along. Surrender. Let them think they'd won, then strike when they got cocky. Ji-hoon was already moving, closing the distance to Amara in seconds. He grabbed her, shielding her with his body, as his men systematically took down Choi's forces. "I've got you," he murmured against her hair. "I've got you. You're safe. You're bleeding. Don't care. You're safe. That's all that matters." The firefight lasted 90 seconds. When it was over, Choi's men were dead or fleeing. Choi himself had vanished, escaped through some hidden exit. Ji-hoon's second-in-command approached. "Sir, we need to move. Police will be here in minutes." "Get the cars!" Ji-hoon didn't let go of Amara. "We're leaving. Now." They were halfway to the SUV when Amara's phone, still on the ground where she'd dropped it, buzzed. One of Ji-hoon's men picked it up, checked the screen, and went pale. "Sir, you need to see this." Ji-hoon took the phone, Amara still pressed against his side. It was a video message from Marcus. Amara's brother sat in what looked like a hotel room, looking confused but unharmed. "Sis, I just got a really weird call from Mom saying you're in trouble. I'm fine, I'm in Atlanta. I don't know what's going on, but call me when you get this. Love you." Relief flooded through Amara. Marcus was safe. Actually safe. But Ji-hoon was staring at something else on the screen. A text message that had come through while they were fighting, from an unknown number. The boy was never the target. Neither was she. "You were too focused on the wrong game, Kang. While you were playing hero, I made my real move. Check your accounts, check your warehouses, check your allies. By the time you figure out what I've actually taken, it'll be too late." D. See Ji-hoon's face went white. He pulled out his own phone, fingers flying across the screen. His expression grew darker with each passing second. "No, no, no, no." "What is it?" Amara asked. When Ji-hoon looked up, there was something like devastation in his eyes. "While I was tearing through the city," his voice was hollow. "Choi wasn't trying to kill me. He was distracting me." "Distracting you from what?" "Everything." Ji-hoon's jaw clenched. "He emptied 3 of my offshore accounts, seized 4 of my warehouses, and turned half my allied families against me with evidence that I've been planning to move against them." "Evidence you planted," Amara said slowly. "Evidence he fabricated. But it doesn't matter. The damage is done." Ji-hoon looked at her, and there was something broken in his eyes. "Your mother was right. The Schwa were right. Having you, caring about you, it made me vulnerable, reckless. And in one night, I've lost more than I've built in 5 years. Ji-hoon, you need to leave. His voice was flat. Final. Tonight. I'll have my men escort you to Incheon, first-class ticket to Atlanta, enough money to start over, enough protection to make sure no one from my world ever touches you again. Amara's heart stopped. You're sending me away? I'm keeping you alive. His hands framed her face one last time, and his eyes were memorizing every detail. I told you I'd burn my empire for you. I meant it. But I won't let my empire burn you. That's not your choice to make, she started. Yes, it is. His voice cracked. Because I love you. And love means keeping you safe even when it destroys me. The words hung in the air between them. I love you. He'd said it, but only in his head. Finally said it, and he was using it as a goodbye. No, Amara said firmly. Ji-hoon blinked. What? I said no. She grabbed his tactical vest, pulled him close. You don't get to make that choice for me. You don't get to decide I'm safer without you. Amara, be reasonable. I threw a drink in your face during a gunfight. Reasonable left the building a long time ago. Her voice was fierce. You said I was yours. You paid off my debts. You told me I was worth burning your empire for. So don't you dare send me away now because things got hard. This isn't hard. This is war. Then we fight. She cut him off. Together. Because I'm done running. Done letting people make choices for me. Done pretending I don't want exactly what I want. And what do you want? He asked her. You. The word was simple. Absolute. Dangerous, obsessive, utterly insane you. I want you, Ji-hoon. Empire or no empire. Money or no money. I want you. Something broke in his expression. Some last wall of control. He kissed her like a drowning man finding air. Desperate. Claiming. Absolutely devastating. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. You're sure? He whispered. Because there's no going back from this. No normal life, no safety. Just me and whatever pieces of my world we can salvage together. I'm sure. She smiled through her tears. Though for the record, normal was overrated anyway. His laugh was rough, relieved. God, I love you. I love you too, even though you're absolutely insane. Especially because I'm absolutely insane. He pulled back, and there was something fierce in his eyes now, something determined. Choi thinks he's won. Thinks he's destroyed me. Hasn't he? He's hurt me. Badly. But destroyed? Ji-hoon's smile was sharp. Dangerous. He just made one critical error. What error? He left me alive, and gave me something worth rebuilding for. His hand found hers, fingers interlacing. Come on. We have an empire to save and a war to win. We? We. His eyes held hers. You and me. Together. The way it should have been from the start. They made it to the SUV, his men surrounding them in protective formation. The estate Ji-hoon took her to after the rescue made the safe house look like a vacation rental. Sprawling grounds that seemed to go on forever. Traditional Korean architecture mixed seamlessly with cutting-edge security. Guards everywhere, but discreet enough to fade into the background. This is... Amara trailed off, staring at the main house through the SUV window. Home, Ji-hoon finished. My actual home. Not a safe house. Not a temporary location. This is where I live. He helped her out of the vehicle, his hand warm and steady on hers, despite the blood still visible on his tactical gear. You live like this? I just live prepared, he corrected, guiding her up the stone steps. There's a difference. Inside was even more impressive. Soaring ceilings, art that definitely belonged in museums, furniture that whispered old money and older power. Staff appeared immediately. A housekeeper who clucked over Ji-hoon's shoulder wound, a butler who offered Amara tea with quiet efficiency. Mr. Kang, the butler said in perfect English. Shall I prepare the guest suite for Ms. Okonkwo? No. Ji-hoon's arm tightened around Amara's waist. She stays with me, in my rooms. The butler didn't even blink. Of course, sir. I'll have her things brought up immediately. What things? Amara asked. I don't have anything. You will by morning, Ji-hoon said. I've already had my people collect your belongings from your apartment and shop for anything else you might need. You had people in my apartment? She asked. I've had people watching your apartment for 6 months, sweetheart. Breaking in to pack your clothes was the least invasive thing I've done. His smile was unrepentant. Come on, you need to rest. He led her upstairs to a bedroom suite that was larger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a bed that could sleep 4, a bathroom with a tub big enough to be a small pool. This is insane, Amara said. Ji-hoon chuckled quietly, then started stripping off his tactical gear, wincing as he moved his injured shoulder. Make yourself comfortable. I need to shower and deal with this shoulder before it gets infected, he said. Let me help. No. His voice was firm. You've been through enough tonight. Just rest, please. He disappeared into the bathroom before she could argue. Amara stood alone in his bedroom, her mind still spinning from everything that had happened. The kidnapping, the rescue, the realization that Ji-hoon had systematically destroyed the Choi family while saving her. She should be terrified, should be questioning every choice. Instead, she felt safe. Her phone buzzed. She'd almost forgotten she had it back. A text from David. We need to talk about the contract. There's a loophole you need to know about. Meet me tomorrow. 2 p.m. Cafe Onyx. Come alone. Don't tell Ji-hoon. If you bring him or his people, I'll run with it, and trust me, you'll regret it. Amara's blood ran cold. David. She stared at the message, her hands shaking. A loophole. What loophole? Another text. This is about Ji-hoon's freedom. If you care about him at all, you'll come. Alone. Amara's finger hovered over the delete button as her heart raced. She should tell Ji-hoon, should show him the messages. But something in David's words made her hesitate. If you bring him or his people, I'll run with it. What if it was important? What if there was really something in that contract that could hurt Ji-hoon? She heard the shower turn off, made her decision, deleted the messages, and told herself she'd handle it tomorrow. The next day, Amara told Ji-hoon she was going shopping. Shopping? He looked up from his laptop, eyebrow raised. You hate shopping. Why? I need new clothes. Everything I own smells like gunpowder and fear. The lie came easier than it should have. Your housekeeper said there's a good district nearby. Take security with you, he started. I know they've already gotten what they wanted, but it's better to stay on the safer. Ji-hoon, I'm going to buy underwear. I don't need armed guards watching me pick out bras. His lips curved slightly as he eyed her, licking his lips. Fair point, but take the driver at least. And keep your phone on. Yes, sir. She kissed his cheek, but he pulled her in for a proper one, kissing her deeply. Then she grabbed her bag and left before he could ask more questions. The guilt gnawed at her the entire drive to Cafe Onyx. She was lying to him, sneaking around, doing exactly what he'd asked her not to do. But David's message had been clear. This is about Ji-hoon's freedom. She had to know. She had to protect him. David was already there when she arrived, sitting in the same corner booth as before. He looked worse than ever, hollow-eyed, unshaven, the sharp edges of desperation visible in every line of his face. But when he saw her, something softened in his expression, something that looked almost like hope. You came, he said, relief evident in his voice. You said this was about Ji-hoon's freedom. Start talking. Amara didn't sit. And make it fast. Sit, please. David gestured to the seat across from him. This is complicated. Reluctantly, she sat. David pulled out a tablet, but didn't turn it on yet. Instead, he looked at her with raw vulnerability. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For everything. The manipulation, the debt, using you. Amara crossed her arms. If this is some manipulation, it's not. He turned on the tablet, slid it across to her. The contract. The one my family had with your mother. There's a clause we didn't tell you about. Oi choncha. Amara looked at the screen. Dense legal text, Korean and English side by side. Clause 47B, David said, pointing. Read it. Amara read. In the event of contract dissolution through third-party payment, all collateral documentation becomes available to the paying party, including but not limited to corporate records, partnership agreements, and financial disclosures filed as supporting evidence of the lending party's financial solvency. She looked up. I don't understand, she said. It means when Ji-hoon paid off the debt, he triggered a disclosure clause. My family's business records, all of them, became accessible to verify the payment was legitimate and wouldn't be linked to illegitimate laundering for such a large sum. David's voice was hollow. And in accessing those records, my family's lawyers found connections. Connections to what? To Ji-hoon's financial network, to accounts he uses for his less legal operations. David scrolled down, and Amara saw his hand tremble. Money laundering, illegal gambling, bribery of public officials, weapons trafficking, all of it documented, cross-referenced, compiled into evidence that could put him away for 15 years, minimum. Amara's hands went numb. You're lying. I wish I was. He scrolled through page after page of documents, financial records, shipping manifests, communication logs, all with Ji-hoon's name attached, all illegal. My family's attorneys have already compiled everything. They're ready to hand it over to prosecutors. Tomorrow morning, unless... Unless what? She asked. David took a deep breath. Unless you come back to Atlanta with me. Tonight. Amara stood so fast her chair scraped. Are you insane? My father is dying, David interrupted, his voice cracking. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, 6 months. I'm taking over the practice and family business, moving to Atlanta. What does that have to do with me? She asked. He stood, came around the table. Not threatening, just desperate. Everything. When my father told me I was taking over, laid out the expansion plans. He stopped. I realized I never stopped loving you, that I was a coward who let people convince me you weren't suitable. Sunhee was a mistake, the biggest mistake of my life. Amara shook her head. This is manipulation. I'm telling the truth. His voice rose, then dropped. I know Ji-hoon is dangerous, but I can give you safety, stability, a real future. Come to Atlanta. Help me launch the practice. 6 months, $2 million. And if you still want him after, I'll let you go. And the evidence? That was what she was most concerned about. Buried. My father won't file if you come with me. David pulled up another document. But you need to understand what we're building. Medical tourism and sales of high-end medical products. High-end procedures for international clients. Expanding into African markets and Western countries. Amara frowned. That sounds legitimate. David hesitated, then pulled up an internal memo. Read the highlighted section. Amara read, Diversity and Inclusion Marketing Strategy for African Expansion, Target Demographic Analysis indicates significant trust barriers for Korean medical providers in African and African diaspora markets. Recommendation: secure high-profile Black spokesperson/partner to serve as face of company's commitment to diversity. Ideal candidate profile: Black woman, plus size to demonstrate body positivity/anti-discrimination values. Highly educated for credibility. Personal connection to air for authenticity. Current candidate, Amara Okonkwo. Perfect fit. Plus-size Black woman with Stanford MBA, marrying into Korean medical family, equals to powerful diversity optics for African market penetration. Amara's hands went numb. What? Her voice came out strangled. What is this? My family's business plan for why they wanted you to marry me in the first place, David explained. The words hit like physical blows. Perfect fit. Body positivity optics. African market penetration. They chose me because I'm Black and plus size? Amara couldn't breathe. Because I'd make good marketing material? Amara, he started. They looked at me and saw a tool? Her voice shook with rage. A diversity prop to sell to my own people? That was my father's team, not me. David tried to defend. You knew? She stood so fast the chair fell. When did you find out? He hesitated. Fatal seconds. David, when?
6 months into our relationship,
He whispered.
we were together for 3 years.
You knew for 2.5 years that I was a marketing strategy and said nothing? I fought with my father, he started. Not hard enough, she shot back. You let me think I was chosen because someone loved me, when the whole time I was just, what, the perfect demographic for African market penetration? She grabbed the tablet, scrolled through with shaking hands. Additional benefits. Plus-size representation counters Korean beauty standard criticisms. Black wife demonstrates progressive/non-racist values. Atlanta connections equals to entry to African American medical networks. Personal narrative. Interracial marriage. Body positivity equals organic media coverage. Oh my God. Amara's voice was hollow. Every single thing about me, my education, my body, my race, you cataloged it like I was a product. That was all my father's doing. But you went along with it. You proposed knowing this. She backed away. The whole expansion. It's not about helping communities. It's about exploiting them, using me as the friendly black face to sell overpriced procedures. That's why I'm telling you now. I want to make it different, genuine, David said. By starting with a lie? Her laugh was broken. You love what I represent. Black enough to seem diverse, plus size enough to seem body positive, educated enough to seem credible, and stupid enough to fall for you. I love you, he blurted. You love that I'm the perfect package for your racist expansion plan. She grabbed her purse. I thought you loved me despite everything, but you saw it all as assets, as ways to exploit African communities who'd trust you because I'm standing next to you. Her phone buzzed. It was Ji-hoon. There's no limit on the card. Take your time. Get everything nice. You deserve it. The simple kindness of it broke something in her chest, because Ji-hoon had never seen her as a tool, just her. I'm leaving, Amara said. Wait, David grabbed her arm. The evidence. If you don't come, my father files tomorrow. 15 years, Amara. She looked at his hand on her arm, at the tablet, at the contract. Let me go. I love you enough to be honest, to show you the ugliest parts. His voice broke. And I'm betting you love Ji-hoon enough to do this anyway. To save him, even knowing what it costs. He showed her an email from his father's attorney. Evidence gets filed at 9 a.m. tomorrow unless I confirm you're on tonight's flight. Amara felt sick. So my choices are, let him go to prison or become the diversity mascot for exploiting African communities, she said. Or come with me and change it from inside. Make it real instead of ugly strategy. He stepped closer. I'm not proud of this, but I'm desperate. I'll use any leverage if it means proving I can be the man you deserved. Her phone rang. Ji-hoon. David watched her. Answer it. Tell him you love him. Tell him goodbye. Then come with me and save his life. David, the flight's in 4 hours. Bags packed in my car. We leave from here. No time to go back. His voice was gentle, inexorable. Choose now, your dignity or his life. The phone rang. Amara closed her eyes. Answered. Hi. Hey, can you, skip the shopping and come home? We can spend the day together. Ji-hoon's voice was warm, trusting. I missed you. I missed you too, she said, voice shaking. Baby, you're crying. What's wrong? He asked. David shook his head frantically. Just emotional. Saw something that reminded me of Dad. She answered. Come home, let me hold you. She looked at David, at the evidence, at the memo revealing she'd been nothing but demographics. I will. Just need to finish something. I'll be home soon. I love you. Those words nearly broke her. I love you too. She ended the call, sat crying. David took her hand. I'm sorry for all of it. But it's the only way to save him. Amara stared at their joined hands, at her phone, at the tablet. She thought about Ji-hoon in prison for 15 years, about being a diversity prop, about exploiting her community, about dignity versus his freedom. She made her choice, stood up. Where are the bags? She asked firmly. Relief flooded David's face. In my car. Parking garage. Let's go, before I change my mind. They drove in silence. David tried to talk about the practice, Atlanta, their future. Amara didn't respond, just stared at Seoul's streets, committing them to memory. At the airport, David checked them in. First class, gate 23. He handed her a boarding pass, flight 402 to Atlanta, departing 8 p.m. I need the restroom. In the bathroom, Amara stared at her reflection, red eyes, tear-stained face, a woman who'd just learned she was never more than a marketing strategy. She turned her phone on. 17 missed calls from Ji-hoon, 23 texts. Baby, where are you? Your location went offline. I'm starting to worry. Her hands shook. One text could save everything. But Ji-hoon would come, would fight, would go to prison anyway. She turned the phone off, walked back to David. Ready? He asked gently. I'll never be ready. But let's go. They walked toward the gate. With every step, Amara died inside, becoming the diversity prop she'd always been to his family, becoming the tool to exploit her own community, becoming the woman who chose his freedom over her dignity. What she didn't know, Ji-hoon's security had been tracking her phone, watched her meet David, followed her to the airport, and reported everything to Ji-hoon. Sir. The call came through on Ji-hoon's secure line. She's at Incheon, Terminal 2, Gate 23, Flight 402 to Atlanta, boarding in 45 minutes. Ji-hoon was in his car before the call ended. Get me there in 30 minutes, he ordered his driver. Sir, traffic. I don't care if you have to drive on the sidewalk. Get me there. He pulled up the security footage his team had sent. Amara at the cafe with David, looking devastated. Amara at the airport, looking broken. His phone rang. His head of security. What do you need, sir? They asked. Ji-hoon's voice was cold, controlled, absolutely lethal. Shut down the airport. Sir? You heard me. Shut down every fucking flight out of Seoul until I get there. I don't care who you have to pay, threaten, or blackmail. No planes leave Incheon for the next hour. Sir, do it, now. He ended the call, pulled up another contact, one of his people in the prosecutor's office. I need everything we discussed earlier on David Kim, and I need it in the next 20 minutes. Sir, that's not much time. Then work faster. By the time Ji-hoon's car screeched to a halt outside Incheon International Airport, he had everything he needed. Evidence against David, contacts in airport security, and a rage that made him want to burn the whole building down. But first, he had to get to Amara, had to stop her from making the biggest mistake of her life. Amara sat at Gate 23, boarding pass in hand, feeling like her soul was being ripped out. Final boarding call for Flight 402 to Atlanta. David stood. That's us. Amara didn't move. Amara? David's voice was gentle. We need to go. I know. Then why aren't you moving? Because, Amara! The shout echoed through the terminal. She spun. Ji-hoon stood 30 feet away, looking like he'd been through hell. His shirt was untucked, tie gone, hair disheveled. There was a cut above his eyebrow that hadn't been there this morning and blood on his knuckles. But his eyes were blazing with fury and desperation and something that looked like heartbreak. Don't, he said, walking toward her with predatory purpose. Don't you dare get on that plane! Ji-hoon, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. He was close enough now that she could see he was shaking. You think you're saving me. Think you're being noble by sacrificing yourself for my freedom. David has evidence, David has nothing. Ji-hoon's voice was cold. Absolute. Or he did. Until about 20 minutes ago when every single piece of evidence his family compiled mysteriously disappeared from their servers. David's face went white. That's impossible. Is it? Ji-hoon's smile was sharp, dangerous. You thought you could threaten me, manipulate the woman I love? Did you really think I wouldn't have contingencies? He turned back to Amara. You dummy, he said, but his voice was gentle, almost fond. Did you actually think I hadn't planned for this? That I didn't know exactly what David's family was doing the moment they accessed those records? Amara blinked. What? The evidence they found? I planted it. All of it. False records, manufactured connections, digital breadcrumbs designed to look real but led nowhere. His hand cupped her face. I've been 3 steps ahead of them this entire time. But David said what I wanted him to say. What I needed him to say to flush out who in my organization was feeding information to his family. Ji-hoon's eyes held hers. Did you really think a man of my caliber would be that careless? That I'd leave evidence of actual crimes sitting around for anyone to find? Behind them, David stammered, You can't what? Ji-hoon didn't even look at him. Can't outmaneuver a desperate doctor and his dying father? Please. I run the most powerful crime organization in Seoul. You run a medical practice. We're not playing the same game. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. David's face went from white to gray. What did you do? What you tried to do to me. Ji-hoon finally turned, and his expression was absolutely terrifying in its calmness. I made sure the authorities have everything they need to know about your family's less-than-legal business practices, tax evasion, insurance fraud, bribing hospital administrators for preferential treatment, falsifying medical credentials for unlicensed doctors. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then showed it to David. This is the arrest warrant with your name on it, and your father's, and 3 of your family's senior partners. His smile was cold. You wanted to frame me for crimes I didn't commit? Congratulations. You just got framed for crimes you actually did. Airport security, real security this time, not Ji-hoon's people, swarmed into the gate area. David Kim? The lead officer asked. David looked at Ji-hoon with something like horror. You can't. I'll tell them about you. Tell them what? That I paid off a family debt? That's not a crime. Unlike insurance fraud, which carries a minimum 5-year sentence in Korea. Ji-hoon's voice was pleasant, conversational. Go ahead. Tell them everything you think you know about me. I have 17 lawyers who specialize in making problems disappear overnight. What do you have? The officers grabbed David, started reading him his rights in Korean. David struggled. Amara, tell them you were coming with me willingly, that this was all what? Amara found her voice. All a plan to use me as a marketing tool to trick my own community? To exploit my identity for your family's profit while they committed fraud? She stood, walked over to where the officers held David. I'm not going anywhere with you. Not to Atlanta, not anywhere. Her voice was steady, strong. And if you ever contact me again, I'll make sure every Black organization in America knows exactly how your family planned to use fake diversity initiatives to exploit vulnerable communities. David's face crumpled. Please, my father is dying. Then he should have raised a better son. Amara stepped back. One who didn't think he could buy people, or use them, or treat them like tools. The officers led David away, still protesting, still trying to explain. The gate area fell silent. Amara turned to Ji-hoon. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. You called me a dummy, she said. You tried to sacrifice yourself for me. Again. He stepped closer. What else would you call it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe noble, selfless, loving. She rolled her eyes. Stupid. Reckless, absolutely maddening. His hands framed her face. Did you really think I'd let you throw yourself away like that? That I couldn't handle David and his pathetic family? You thought I needed saving. His voice softened. Baby, I've been taking care of myself and my empire for 15 years. I don't need saving. What I need is for you to trust that I can protect both of us without you having to destroy yourself in the process. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was so scared. The evidence looked real because I made it look real, because I knew eventually someone would try to use exactly that kind of threat against me. He pressed his forehead to hers. I've been preparing for this play for years, Amara. You think the Schwa were the first people to try to take me down? The Kims? They're amateurs compared to what I've survived. You let me suffer. You let me think. I didn't know you'd sneak off to meet David until my security team called. His voice was rough. I broke every traffic law in Seoul trying to get here before you did something irreversibly stupid. Like getting on a plane? Like leaving me. His grip tightened. Don't you ever, ever do that again. You don't run. You don't sacrifice yourself. You don't make decisions about us without talking to me first. Clear? Crystal clear. Good. He kissed her then, fiercely, possessively, absolutely maddening. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Amara noticed the entire gate area was staring. You shut down the airport, she said. I shut down the airport, he confirmed. That's insane. That's love. His smile was soft. You gotta face the consequences of bewitching such a vulnerable crime lord. Amara chuckled in response. The next few weeks were a blur. Ji-hoon systematically dismantled the Park family's operations with surgical precision, absorbed what was useful, destroyed what wasn't, left them so thoroughly broken that even thinking about revenge would be financial suicide. The Chua fared slightly better. They kept some territory, but under such restrictive terms that they essentially became Ji-hoon's vassals. You're scarier than I thought, Amara said, watching him negotiate the final terms with Choi Dae-jung over a video call. I'm exactly as scary as I need to be, Ji-hoon corrected, but only to people who threaten what's mine. He pulled her by the waist. As for David, Ji-hoon visited him in holding 3 days after the arrest. David looked terrible. Unshaven, exhausted, defeated. What do you want? He asked when Ji-hoon sat down across from him. To offer you a deal. David's laugh was bitter. What kind of deal? The kind that makes all of this disappear. Ji-hoon leaned back, completely at ease despite being in a police station. The charges, the evidence, the prosecution, all of it goes away like it never happened. In exchange for what? You return to Atlanta. Tonight. You never come back to Korea. You never contact Amara again. You keep your family away from her, from me, from anything connected to my organization. Ji-hoon's voice was pleasant, conversational. And you tell anyone who asks that you left Korea because you realized Seoul wasn't for you. Not because you were run out, not because you were arrested, just it wasn't a good fit. David stared at him. That's it? That's it. Ji-hoon stood. Oh, and David, if I ever hear that you've tried to contact her, if I see your name on her phone records, if I find out you've been anywhere near her family... His smile was absolutely terrifying. I will make sure the charges come back, along with a few more I haven't filed yet, and I'll make sure you serve every single year of your sentence in the worst prison Korea has to offer. Clear? David swallowed hard. Clear. Excellent. Ji-hoon knocked on the door. He's ready to be processed for release. He left David there, looking stunned. By that evening, David was on a plane to Atlanta. By the end of the week, his family had quietly closed their Korean operations and returned to the United States, and Amara never heard from any of them again. 2 weeks later, Ji-hoon disappeared for an afternoon. Business, he said when Amara asked. Nothing dangerous, just need to handle something. He returned at sunset, slightly disheveled but smiling. Come with me, he said, offering his hand. Where? You'll see. He led her to the estate's gardens, meticulously maintained, sprawling, absolutely gorgeous in the golden light. At the center was a pavilion Amara had never noticed before. Or maybe it was new. With Ji-hoon's resources, he could have built it that afternoon. Ji-hoon, what? He turned to face her and dropped to one knee. Amara's heart stopped. I had a whole speech planned, he said, pulling out a ring box. Something about how you've made me reconsider everything I thought I knew about power and control and what actually matters. Something poetic about you being the only person who's ever made me want to surrender anything. He opened the box. The ring was stunning, a deep blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds, set in platinum. Elegant, unique, absolutely perfect. But the truth is simpler than any speech, Ji-hoon continued. I love you. I've loved you since I saw you arguing about supply chain logistics 7 months ago, and I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt that you're the most important thing in my world. His eyes met hers. Amara Okonkwo, will you marry me? Amara was crying, full-on sobbing, unable to form words. Baby,
I need an actual answer, he joked.
Yes.
She dropped to her knees in front of him.
Yes, 1,000 times yes.
He slid the ring onto her finger with a wide grin. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. He'd probably had her ring size for months. They stayed there in the garden as the sun set, holding each other, laughing and crying in equal measure.
I can't believe you proposed in a garden, Amara said eventually.
You can't? You're a crime lord. I expected something more dramatic. Would you have preferred I proposed during a gunfight? His smile was wry. I can arrange that for the wedding if you want.
Please don't.
Then stop complaining about my romantic garden proposal. He stood, pulled her up with him. Besides, I saved all the drama for David. This moment, this is just for us. 3 months later. Amara stood in the bridal suite of Seoul's most exclusive hotel, staring at her reflection in the mirror. The dress was custom, designed to highlight every curve, every inch of her body that she'd spent years being told was too much. Deep burgundy silk that made her skin glow. Fitted bodice that celebrated rather than hid. A train that whispered luxury with every movement. She looked like a queen.
You ready?
Minji asked. Amara's friend had flown in from Chicago to be her maid of honor.
I think so.
You think so? Girl, you're about to marry the richest, most powerful man in Seoul. You better be sure.
I'm sure about him, Amara clarified. I'm less sure about whether my mother is going to show up.
She'd sent the invitation 3 months ago, had called twice to follow up. Both times her mother had been distant, polite but cold, clearly unhappy about Amara's choice. They hadn't spoken in weeks. If she doesn't show, that's on her, Minji said firmly. You don't need her blessing to be happy. I know, but I want it anyway. The music started. Time to go. The ceremony was in the hotel's grand ballroom, decorated with thousands of white flowers, lit by chandeliers that probably cost more than most houses. Ji-hoon's world on full display. Amara walked down the aisle alone, because she didn't need anyone to give her away. She was choosing this, choosing him, all on her own. Ji-hoon waited at the altar in a custom black tuxedo that made him look like sin personified. But his eyes when he saw her, his eyes were pure devotion. The ceremony was traditional Korean with Western elements mixed in. They exchanged vows in both English and Korean. Ji-hoon's voice was steady when he promised to love, honor, and protect her for the rest of his life. Amara's shook slightly when she promised the same. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said. You may kiss the bride. Ji-hoon pulled her close and kissed her like they were the only two people in the world. The room erupted in applause, but Amara barely heard it, because she'd just spotted her mother in the third row, crying, smiling, actually there. Tears of joy filled Amara's eyes as her mother nodded with approval. At the reception, Amara's mother approached her during a quiet moment. Mom? Amara said, surprised. I didn't think you'd come. I almost didn't. Her mother's voice was soft, raw. I was angry, scared, convinced you were making the biggest mistake of your life. And now? Now I see how he looks at you. Her mother glanced at Ji-hoon across the room, deep in conversation with his business associates, but with his eyes constantly tracking back to Amara. Like you're the sun and he's been living in darkness his whole life. Tears pricked at Amara's eyes. I owe you an apology, her mother continued. Actually, I owe you dozens of apologies. For the way I raised you. For the way I made you feel like you were too much and not enough all at once. For pushing you toward David when I should have been teaching you that you deserved someone who saw your worth. Mom, let me finish. Her mother took Amara's hands. I loved you the wrong way. I thought I was protecting you by teaching you to be smaller, quieter, more acceptable. But all I did was destroy your self-esteem and make you think you needed to settle for men who saw you as a transaction. I heard about David's family, their evil plan to use you all along. She looked at Ji-hoon again. That man, he doesn't see you as a transaction. He sees you as treasure, and Her voice broke. I couldn't have found you a better husband if I'd searched for 1,000 years. Amara pulled her mother into a hug, both of them crying. I give you my blessing, her mother whispered. Not that you need it. Not that you ever needed it. But I'm giving it anyway, because you deserve to hear that I'm proud of you. Proud of the woman you've become despite my mistakes. You? Thank you, Amara managed through her tears. They stood there for a long moment before Ji-hoon approached, looking concerned. Everything okay? He asked. Everything's perfect, Amara's mother said, wiping her eyes. You take care of my daughter, Mr. Kang. Every day for the rest of my life, Ji-hoon promised. He led Amara onto the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife. Your mother? He asked as they swayed to the music. Gave us her blessing, finally. Good. His arms tightened around her, though not that I ever needed it to make you my wife. I know, she laughed. They danced in silence for a moment before Ji-hoon spoke again. David sent a wedding gift, by the way. Amara pulled back slightly. He what? A crystal vase. Very expensive, very impersonal, along with a card that said, Congratulations. Ji-hoon's smile was wry. I had it appraised. It's authentic. Probably cost him $20,000. And what did you do with it? Amara asked with a knowing smile. Donated it to a charity auction. Figured someone might as well get some use out of his guilt. He spun her gently. He's doing well, apparently. Took over his family's practice in Atlanta, keeping his head down, following all the rules I set. Good. Good, Ji-hoon agreed. The song ended. Another began. And they kept dancing. Her head rested on his as he held her protectively, possessively, because they had forever now, and forever was just beginning. The wedding photographer captured everything. Amara in her gown, head thrown back, laughing at something Ji-hoon whispered, Ji-hoon's hand on Amara's waist, possessive and tender. The moment he first saw her walking down the aisle, pure awe on his face. Their kiss at the altar, passionate and claiming. Amara and her mother embracing, both crying. Ji-hoon with his mother, who'd given a speech about how Amara had made her son human again. Marcus, who'd flown in from Atlanta, giving a toast about how his sister had finally found someone worthy of her. The first dance, with Amara's head on Ji-hoon's shoulder and his arms wrapped around her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Cutting the cake, with Ji-hoon smearing frosting on Amara's nose and her retaliating by shoving a piece in his mouth. The sunset photo on the hotel balcony. Amara in Ji-hoon's arms, soul glittering behind them, both of them looking at each other like nothing else existed. The final photo was the best. Ji-hoon and Amara walking through a shower of flower petals, hand in hand, smiling like they'd won the lottery and found the meaning of life all at once. Because they had. They'd found each other, against all odds. Despite every obstacle, through kidnappings and betrayals and impossible choices, a 30-year-old supply chain consultant from Atlanta, and Seoul's most dangerous crime lord, who would have thought? Certainly not Amara, 4 months ago, crying into Soju about being undateable. Certainly not Ji-hoon, watching her from across a bar and thinking to himself, this is the woman I've been waiting for my whole life. But here they were, married, in love, ready to face whatever came next. Together. And that's how a woman who threw Soju at a crime lord ended up married to him. That's how a man who'd spent his life building walls learned to let someone in. That's how two impossible people found their impossible love story. Did Ji-hoon ever go to prison? No, because he's smarter than everyone who tried to take him down. Did David ever contact Amara again? Absolutely not. He's not that stupid. Did Amara's mother fully redeem herself? She's working on it. Some things take time. But the most important question, are they happy? Look at those wedding photos and tell me they're not. Look at the way he holds her like she's precious. The way she looks at him like he's her whole world. The way they chose each other despite every logical reason not to. That's not just happiness. That's victory. If you loved this story, smash that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, because we've got way more where this came from. More dangerous men who fall hard. More black queens who refuse to settle, discovering their worth. More impossible romances that somehow, impossibly,
Work in the most beautiful day possible. Comment married if this ending gave you all the feels. Comment Jai-hoon if you're in love with this possessive crime lord, like if this story made you believe in love again. Share if you know someone who needs to watch a man go completely mad and shut down an entire airport for the woman he loves. This is Afro-Korean romance stories, where we don't do safe, we don't do boring. We do dangerous, devoted, absolutely devastating love stories. And interestingly enough, we're just getting started. See you in the next one soon.